Welcome to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everybody, you are listening to episode 20, How to Make a Career Transformation with Yogesh Naik. Hey there everybody, so nice to catch up with you again. As always, thank you so much wherever you are for tuning in today. And whether you listen live or on demand, I appreciate it so much. It's helping this show and this network to grow because we're in growth mode here. And I hope you are too in your career and in your life. I hope that you are doing big things and pursuing big goals, overcoming big hurdles, whatever may be going on. And I've got a special guest today who knows a little something about that. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. But thank you so much for your continued support for this show. We're growing. Every listener, every review, every caller, all of it helps to support Career Uprising. So thank you very much. And I hope that you guys caught last week's episode. If you didn't, it was how to make the salary that you're worth. So sometimes I do shows that are a little bit more inspirational, big picture kind of career planning and thinking. That one was really more down to earth, practical, just tips and actionable advice for your next job offer or perhaps even your next performance review. If you're looking for a raise, whatever your situation is, it was all about how to have the confidence to pursue the salary that you want. So it is posted now on inflowradio.com. So if you haven't checked that out, go back and listen to episode 19. I cannot believe we're up to 20 episodes so far. This is so cool. And I really believe if you go back into the archives that there is something for everyone. Whatever career problem or question, situation that you may be in. I feel like we've covered so much ground already in 20 episodes. So there's something for everybody there. So go dig that up. You can find that. You can also find episodes on my website, worksmartcounseling.com. We kind of put that feature in there a while ago. You can listen to whatever's the most recent episode if you go to my website as well. So I'm really excited. Today we are going to shake things up just a little bit. So we are actually pre-recording today, as I do occasionally, because when this show airs, I will be in Idaho. Really random, I know. I've never been there before, but I'm excited. I wonder if I have any listeners in Idaho. I don't know. I'll probably never know. But I'm going to be taking one last vacation here before the summer ends and before my daughter goes back to school and we get into our regular habits and routines and everything. So I love traveling. I'm really, really excited about it. And I will be trying to disconnect a little bit. I'm not planning right now to take my computer. We'll see how that goes. So I'm going to be attending a family reunion in Downey, Idaho. So it should be exciting. It'll be an adventure for sure. So that's why we're not live today, but that's okay because it's still going to be a brand new show, still going to be a new episode. In fact, I was thinking a couple of days ago, I have not run a single rerun for you guys yet, a single rebroadcast. Every episode so far has been new, and I'm really proud of that. Man, I have just been cranking them out. So I hope that you are appreciating that and enjoying that. I try so much to bring you as much amazing new content as I possibly can. So I'm sure it'll happen one day that I'll have to sneak a rebroadcast in there. But that is my commitment to you, is try to give you as much support and as much new content as I possibly can, even when I'm off traveling. Isn't it amazing that we can do that? Boom, new episode for you still. But after that, I'll be back and we'll do another live show after that. So no fear at all, guys. Okay. So we are changing it up today in another way as well. And in just a couple of minutes, a little bit later in the show, I will be interviewing a very recent client of mine, Yogesh. Now, Yogesh actually found me through this very show, Career Uprising, and he's very special anyway, but in my mind, he'll be always extra special for that reason, because that's how recent he is. He found me when this show first went live. I think it was actually my first live episode in mid or late April. And he contacted me right after that. We had a quick phone call, kind of got to know each other a little bit. And he signed up for my signature program, Career Transformation, hence the title of this episode. I thought that worked out well because let me tell you, he did exactly that. Okay. He truly made a career transformation. And I'm going to not tell you too much. I want to give you a little bit of background information here, but I want to let him tell his own story in his own words. And I'm looking forward to just catching up with my friend too, because I haven't talked to him really in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking forward to hearing what's new with his new job as well. So let me tell you just a little bit about my friend, Yogesh. So his experience is a blend of some project management, some business analysis in the biotech pharmaceutical field. Now, when I first spoke to him, he had been unemployed for a full year. Okay. And additionally, he was struggling with really taking action and just going full force into his job search. Does that sound familiar to anyone? I know there are other people out there who have struggled with this. This is really common too, I think, for people who have been unemployed for a period of time. You know, you put so much effort out there, and after months and months of not getting results and still not having a job, it can be really hard to keep yourself motivated and to keep going and put that smile on your face and, pretend that you aren't really truly sick of applying for jobs. It can be really hard to sustain that level of effort and motivation for a variety of reasons. Plus, job searching I believe, requires a certain level of confidence and putting yourself out there. And that is a challenge for a lot of people I work with. It's completely normal. In fact, I would say that's one of the biggest benefits that a lot of people say that they get out of the coaching process is increased confidence. And there's so many things in a job search, I think, that can chip away at your confidence, especially when you're not getting the results that you wanted and it's taking longer than you expected. And I know in Yogesh's case, the separation that he had from his last employer was less than amicable, and it can definitely hurt one's confidence to try and move forward. But I'm happy to say that the story has a happy ending, and Yogesh recently secured a great new position, one that he's even relocating for, I believe. And he got this offer, you guys, just about 90 days, or I think a little bit less, from the time we started working together. That is not very long, especially if someone is not currently employed, because we all know that the bias against the unemployed is real. It does exist, unfortunately. So this is even more of an incredible feat. And it isn't just the new job. Of course, that's what we're after, but it's also just the personal transformation that I believe he made during this time that I want to really talk about. There's so many levels of this being a success. So I would say if you are currently unemployed and looking for motivation to keep going, this show will be for you. If you maybe are struggling with keeping your confidence up and taking action in your job search, this show will be for you. If you are looking for evidence that career coaching works and that the investment is worth it and it's a viable option for you, well, then this show, I believe, will provide that. I'm so excited to bring my friend and my client, Yogesh, on the show in just a few minutes. And I have to say, too, if you listen to this show or Inflow Radio at all, you may have heard his voice. He's called in to my show. He's called into Summer's Flow Dreaming show. He's a friend of the network, I would definitely say. So you may have actually heard his voice before, but now you're going to get to hear his full story in his own words. It's going to be very, very cool. So also, I was thinking that with this interview today, this actually marks the third client that I've interviewed that has gone through my career transformation program and had a remarkable success story to share. Now, of course, there's been more, but this is just the third one recently that I've been able to interview since the show's inception. So this makes my heart so happy, of course. Obviously I know that the program works. Heck, I designed it to work. But it's just gratifying to be able to come full circle with these clients and bring them on the show to tell their stories and to be on a podcast, something that a lot of them probably thought they'd never be doing. It just really adds another layer to the experience. And it just shows the listener even more deeply how transformational it can be to work with a coach. All right. And you got to get help sometimes. Gosh, no, you guys know I've had several coaches. I still do. I had just last year, I think I had a handful of them. So I'm a big believer in it. And, it's really it's no surprise that, at least not to me, that the clients that get the best results are the ones who go through the most comprehensive program. It doesn't always happen that way, but I have noticed many, many times over, the deeper the commitment and the deeper the work that you do, the deeper the results. I mean, it just makes sense, right? When you invest more time, money, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into a process, you're invested in it and you're going to get better results. You're going to show up better. And you're just going to get more out of it because you're going to put more into it. So time and again, I see this, that the clients that commit the time, the energy, resources, whatever it is they need into getting help are the ones who get the best results. And in fact, I have to say, because I've been noticing this so much, I've actually scaled way back on offering just kind of a resume only program to clients. I actually made a change to my program offerings. And I made that change earlier this year because I realized that by offering kind of a quote resume only program, I was really kind of enabling clients to think that that was all they needed in their job search. And that is rarely ever the case. Job searches, are about so much more than just a resume. And so those clients really weren't getting the best results. And I didn't want to do that. So yes, my program is a bigger commitment than some others out there, but I believe it's a far more effective approach for you as the client. You'll thank me one day, I promise. So if you're listening to this show and you have thought about maybe getting help and working with me or with anyone, you haven't done it yet, now is the time to act. Imagine what it would be like to have a personal career coach guiding you every step of the way. And it's affordable. Oh, yes, it is. I don't market my services to the super wealthy, you guys. I work with regular, everyday folks just like you. That's my client base. The only requirement that I have of my clients, they come from all different industries at all different career levels, men, women, young, old. The only requirement that I really have is that they are willing to commit to the process, that they're willing to take action. They see it as an investment. And I've designed to price my programs that way. So don't let that stop you. Don't let the money stop you. If you do, I've learned you will let other things stop you. And you won't end up having the life and the career that you want and you deserve. And believe me, I walk the talk. I have learned this myself. And I'm still learning it on different levels every day. So it's all about the commitment, you guys. You got to go big. So if you want to be a success story like Yogesh or my previous clients, Christine and Martha, who I've also interviewed, contact me. Go to worksmartcounseling.com/apply and apply for a call with me. It's free. There's no pressure to sign up. We'll just chat. We'll see if the program is right for you. I only enroll clients that I really honestly feel are a match and that I can help. Who knows? Maybe you'll get a new job and also be my next interview guest. Wouldn't that be cool? Imagine what that would be like. So exciting. All right. So again, that link is worksmartcounseling.com/apply. All right. So without further ado, I think what we're going to do is go ahead and take our quick commercial break now. That way I can bring my guest on after that and we'll be uninterrupted and we'll chat and we'll find out about his career transformation. So let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Hey everyone. While the show takes just a quick break, I want to invite you to connect with me personally to get help in your career. If you like what you've heard so far, sign up for my mailing list so you can be a part of my community. I offer all kinds of career-related advice, and I have a free guide that I created just for you called Strategies for Interview Success, and you'll get it instantly in your inbox as soon as you sign up. Head over to worksmartcounseling.com/sign up. That's worksmart, COUNSELING.com/sign up. Or go to my show page on infloradio.com and get on the list today. All right, let's get back to the show. I'd love to answer your questions. Give me a call in today's episode, recorded live, by dialing the U.S. number 1-760-456-7277. That's 1-760-456-7277, and let's see how we can improve your career. And we are back. Thank you for sticking with us, guys. All right. So as I promised, I'm not going to do all of the talking today because I have a very special guest with me, my friend and client, Yogesh Naik. Okay. So let's bring him on. I can't wait to hear this guy's story. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So Yogesh, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. How are you tonight? Thank you so much for joining. I know you're a busy man these days because you just started a new job. Right?
Busy as I can be. Yeah, it's been great. It's been a week plus that I've started work, settling down into a new area. Still being put up in a hotel, so getting used to things, but it's nice.
Good. Yeah, you're in transition for sure. This is a big time for you. Well, first of all, of course, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. And I know you must be relieved that your job search is over.
Yeah, the worst part is gone now.
I know. So I did give our listeners, you may have heard a little bit of background on you and kind of what line of work that you're in, but let's kind of go back in time just a couple of months back to April, and when I first got to know you and first spoke to you, and tell our listeners a little bit more about the situation that you were in when we first connected, because I know you had been unemployed for some time. So kind of go back in time and tell us a little bit more about what was going on at that time.
So it was exactly, I think it was in April, and it was your first show. And it had actually, it was my first, unemployment anniversary. March 31st. So April was like, I had just clocked that 1 year, and I was very frustrated. Just to give a little background, I'm actually a student of summer also. So I'm a flow dreamer. I'm a manifester. I knew exactly what I wanted. But, I was in a state where it had been a year. I was doing all my internal work. I was doing everything I needed to do to find the perfect job. But I was not taking action. And every time I spoke to Summer, and she was like, she used to give me challenges to say, right, send 10 resumes out a day or 5. And I'm like, I'll resist it and I will not do it. So basically my job search wasn't really structured. I wasn't applying properly. I was doing a lot of wrong things. I had a resume done by a professional, so I had actually contacted somebody within the career counseling area to get a professional resume covered. I think I just was listening that where I'm trying to come down to is just getting your resume done. Getting it done is not the answer. You need proper coaching. You need proper help. What was happening for that 1 year was I was basically making excuses. I was licking my wounds. I was very hurt. I was fired from my last job. It sounds funny now, but at that time I used to literally wanted to hide in a cupboard.
A lot of people would be able to relate to that.
So every time I was applying for jobs, I didn't know what answers to give, how to work around that. There's nothing wrong in getting fired. I was not just aligned to that job. And I can see today why I got fired very clearly. And I don't blame my ex-employer anymore. But I was in a state of blaming, making, I was basically self-sabotaging myself. And so come April, that was your first show. I just felt this is what I wanted. And I remember it was a Monday when your show was, and we only spoke on a Thursday, and I was really frustrated because I wanted things to happen really fast. And
I know you were like, "Can we meet tomorrow?"
Can I have my resume done yesterday?
I know.
Can we? And you told me to. I remember you told me to take a step back, just take a deep breath, and we'll work everything out. Yeah. Because basically there is. I feel that there is a. You know what you're doing by coaching during your coaching. So you're not one of those, they're not. When I look back, I'm impressed because, somebody could have said, let's turn your resume around, let's just do it today, and wouldn't have worked. So and I think we started applying, you took me through the whole coaching sessions, and we had calls every week, so every 15 days, and and landed up with a job.
Yeah, and it didn't take that long. I think it was less than 90 days. I mean, April to July, something like that. I mean, that's pretty impressive for really anybody, but there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, there's, you're at a certain level in your career, you're not right out of school, so you've got, and it gets harder as you get older, it does. So you've got that. Then you've got the fact that you had been unemployed and considered long-term unemployed, yet you still came back. It was like a career comeback. It really was. I hope you take that in a good way. It was. I mean, it's you could have really, like you said, continued to kind of just pity yourself and lick your wounds, but you really had to get out of that mentality and go, no, I'm going to make a comeback. I'm going to do this. So you had to show up for it. So we got to congratulate you for that.
But the nice thing about the whole thing is, I'm not, the year 1 year, but I got a job which is exactly the level I wanted it. Mm-hmm. So I've got a great title. I know titles. People will say, "Oh, titles are titles," but with a title comes the salary. The title comes responsibility. I wanted a job which was not going to be, because I used to work for software companies, delivering software within the R&D space, the research and development space within the biotech industry. So I've always worked for vendors, and now I work for a biotech. And I look after, so it's a different kind of job. It's doing the same thing, but it's a different kind of role. I got the title for a director, which I've always wanted. I never had it.
I know. I remember you said it's got the fancy title like you wanted. I was so happy for you.
Because I was always a senior project manager. And that's where I was. I was always a consultant, a senior consultant, or a senior project manager. I've always wanted to be, at a certain age, you do want, after such experience, you do want to be a director of something. So. And then there was also this, I was going through a phase where I just didn't want to work for any software company. I didn't want to work for just any biotech. I didn't want to work for a pharmaceutical company making Oxycontin. I actually applied for that job for that company, and I didn't get it. I wanted to work where there was great research, there was things I could do, and I landed up exactly with the same thing. So I'm very, very happy. I was also, when I was looking for work, I was resisting. I was only looking for work if you remember, the first thing I told you, but New York doesn't have biotech jobs. Where am I going to find a job? I'll have to commute 50 miles into New Jersey. And I opened myself up, and I think it took me through that process where I've got a job in Connecticut, but they paying for, they're paying a little bit extra accommodation and all that. So Monday to Friday, I'm in Connecticut, and I go back home. And I like it. I enjoy it. I was resisting that. I had a lot of blocks in front of me. I can't, I'm going to apply for a job and I'm not going to get it. I'm going to get a job which is going to be far away and all that kind of negativity around it. So it was good.
Wonderful. And you said something a couple of minutes ago that I loved, and I wanted to come back to, because you were talking about the role of taking action, and I think that, when you think about this whole network too, and inflow and, and manifestation, you were kind of talking about how you've been a student of that. That is one of the key principles of really manifesting anything in your life, and certainly a new job is, thought is not enough, right? You have to take action. You have to build upon that. And I feel like that's kind of where you were at. You said you knew what you wanted. You knew the type of job that you wanted, and you knew you wanted to get back into working again, but it wasn't happening. And the barrier there really was taking action and making that commitment and kind of putting yourself out there. What was it that enabled you to overcome that and really start going full force again into your job search? Because that really it seemed like it was the turning point for you, where you started to get results and started to get some interviews. So how were you able to kind of break that barrier and really just go full force and take action?
There's something which we talk about, or someone teaches us, as inspired action. And I was not even doing that. At least get down and do something, and then the universe helps you out. I was totally lost what kind of action to take. Also, I knew how to take action, and if you remember the first time we spoke, I said my main problem is accountability and taking action. Because what would happen is I would go on to LinkedIn. I knew LinkedIn was the way to go. And because online applications were not, that was, if I was depending just on online applications, that was not going to work. Mm-hmm. And you told me that once during one of my frustrated calls, like, I'm applying, but I'm not getting a job. And you forced me to say, just go and say hi to your friends. I remember that. It's just go say hi. and connect and I was like, oh, but if I say hi to XYZ, he's going to then judge me and he'll know that I'm not employed and all that. And I took all that stuff out, and I remember you even gave me wrote me the script of what to ask somebody. It's like, oh, so yeah, I started connecting with people on LinkedIn. I started we did what? I was trying to do more online applications and less LinkedIn, and then you turned it around, I think, within the second month or the first month, that I had to do more LinkedIn. Before I applied for a job, I had to do research. I had to go in and see if there was anybody else working there who I knew. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of things you made me do.
I made you do it. So I love how you say that. She made me do it. My mean career coach. No, not really.
No, I mean, there was that accountability thing.
Oh,
right?
yes,
I mean,
I'm just teasing you.
I mean, you were not strict on me or anything, but it was like when we had our call. So the first few days, I wouldn't even take action, and then I knew I have a call next week. I better start put in my applications and all that. So eventually, in the end, it was through LinkedIn. It was just we were applying for jobs, and one of my friends who I know from the UK, we've worked together for like 8-9 years. He knows me well. He thinks I'm really great at my work.
Mm-hmm. That helps.
He posted something, and I didn't even think, oh God, this job could be in San Francisco, or this job could be in Boston. I just reached out to him. It's like, hey, what's going on? I'm looking for a job, and it all started from there. And there was a time when we were applying, when I was interviewing for that job, I had other job interviews also going on. So it was not that there was just this one sort of out of the blues which came out. I had 3-4 things going on at the same time. Mm-hmm. So it all worked out. Yeah.
It did.
And actually, I got an email from a recruiter who trying to offer me a job, and I know if I went for it, I'll get it. Saying, I'm sorry, like I'm already committed here.
I know. I bet it feels good to be like, oh, sorry, but I have a job. Yeah. Well,
No, my first reaction was, where the hell were you for that whole year?
Oh, yes. That's true. Where were you when I needed you? But truthfully, it did all work out. And you think, where were these opportunities? But they really weren't right for you. And if they had come up at that time, of course you would have taken them. Because, I think a lot of people have been there where you're so just ready and to get a new job that you'll take the first thing that comes along, but you never want to do that. So it took you longer, but I think you ended up in a better place because of it, so there is a silver lining there sometimes. But I'm really glad you brought up the networking thing too, because that is definitely something that you and I focused on. And it's an area that a lot of job seekers really struggle in these days, to get out from the online job boards that are so convenient and get networking. And what, for the listeners out there, when he says I told him to go say hi to his friends, what that was just me saying, get out in front of people, be seen, especially when you are unemployed. It's easy to just be at home alone behind your computer for a long time. And it's not good for your emotions and your psyche, and it's not good for your job search. So I just wanted you to kind of change things up and throw some people into the mix. And I think it's interesting, of course, then it turns out that the opportunity you got through networking, through somebody that you knew, right? I think that's just so fitting. that it worked out that way. Go ahead.
And I didn't even have to explain to him that what happened in the last job or nothing. He sort of opened up the discussion and saying, "Don't worry about it," And because they started interviewing me, calling me Yogi, which was quite interesting. And then the whole company calls me Yogi. I'm like, wait. So this guy is so friendly, and he sold me so well to the rest of the company that everybody's on my, nickname terms already. So I was interviewed as Yogesh Naik. So that's great.
Well,
it just shows that you could be sitting worried about unnecessary stuff. Oh, I've been let go. The industry is small. Everybody knows I was let go. Oh, I messed up or whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares.
That's true. They're just excuses. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel that everybody's scared, or everybody's been fired once, somewhere, somehow. Something's happened to everyone. And you feel that you're this unique person who's been fired and the world's going to end. But when you reach out to people, when you start applying for jobs, when you start speaking honestly about some things, you don't have to tell them in the first time, I didn't get along, things didn't work out. You gave me about 4 or 5 sort of answers to give out, which were great, which really gave me the confidence, because I wasn't lying. I wasn't trying to make up a story. I was honest. Right. And that came through to when I spoke to people. Who were like, okay, things didn't work out, but I'm ready. I'm looking for a job. So,
yeah, it allowed you to be more authentic. Absolutely. And that's how you want to be. That's how you want to show up in the job search and in the interview and ultimately in the job. So it's so important to find a good match, and be yourself that in the job search. That way they're going to hire you for you. And it's a good match. Absolutely. And when you get something, when you get something through a referral and through your network, there's such a high level of trust there. And I think that's why you had an easier time. Once you made that connection again with your friend, it was just like boom, boom, boom. I mean, it came together pretty quickly, where it's like pulling teeth, because they just don't know you. They don't have that trust with you yet.
Nope. Yeah. And you know what? The best things which has happened, this company's be looking for a certain type of software, which is one of the vendors is going to be the company I worked for. So I am going to be they're going to be on the receiving end. I'm not going to use it against them, but we are evaluating that software. So I was, already on emails with the person who let me go.
Okay.
So that's going to be an interesting one.
Interesting. Well, you've really come full circle here. Yes, that is interesting. So, it's been quite a journey here, Yogi. It's been about 3 or 4 months now. And I'm going to ask you, 3 or 4 months just working together, but really it's been more than that for you. It's been a year and a half almost since, you started the job search. When you think about the past year and a half and this whole process, I'm going to ask you the same question I like to ask everyone that I interview. What did you learn about yourself through the process of this career change or comeback, we'll call it? What did you learn about yourself?
That the job's not you. You're much bigger than your job. When things like when you get let go, you start identifying with what has happened to you. Sometimes you have to get fired to do better stuff. Sometimes things don't work out, and that's because maybe I wasn't aligned to the job I was doing before. Project management and me are not. We don't get along that well. So maybe it was time for me to move, and that's why it happened. And yes, I took time to heal, come out, and find a job. I think I could have, if I had sort of done it within 3-4 months, I could have done it. It's not that I could. I mean, what I'm trying to come down to is don't give up. That was something I had almost got into a state where I was like giving up on things. So, and you know, network. I think that's, you know, I haven't stopped networking. My LinkedIn wasn't that great when we met. We worked on that LinkedIn profile really well, and now I'm like, you know, I'm on LinkedIn doing things, letting people know that I exist within the industry. So I'm using LinkedIn as my networking tool, and it's really so. I think that's one big takeaway I have from the whole thing is be seen. You know, we all on Facebook, we all want to be known and we communicate, but we're not using LinkedIn for work as we should. But that's one big takeaway. And yeah, never give up. Never give up. And when I did contact you, I mean, I would say my first thing I did have, you know, like, oh my God, it's going to cost. But I look at it in a way that if I didn't use that. If I didn't make that investment, I don't think I would have had the job, because I wasn't applying properly. I was just randomly, I'll get up, I'll apply for 2-3 online jobs, and I'll feel that I'd applied for a job when actually we all know that online applications alone don't work.
Well, and I know one thing that you were doing too is you would apply for a couple of jobs and then you would get a little bit of feedback and maybe get a phone interview, and then you would kind of stop. You know, you would take a step forward, and then when you got a little bit of progress, you would wait and just see that through rather than continuing to apply and continuing to go full force, you know, knowing this might not work out. You know, it was almost kind of like, if you would agree, like looking for an excuse to kind of stop for a little bit. Oh, okay, I'm getting an interview. Let me pull back. Dude, I know we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, I had an interview last December where I wasted, I could have almost about 2.5-3 months on that one interview, because I had gone to the second stage of that interview, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to get this one, and I didn't get it, and then and then I'd stopped job hunting for 2 months. I had not done anything because I was concentrating only on this one process. So there was a lot of mistakes I was making, and that's something you taught me, is like, if you're talking to X, Y, and Z, doesn't mean that you can't talk to ABC. Keep things moving, and I kept things moving till the last minute. Even with this job, till they gave me, you know, I knew I was going to get it, but till I signed on that dotted line, I was still talking to people.
Good.
I was still interviewing.
You probably heard my voice in your ear going, keep going, Yogi. Because you have to look out for yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, you have to look after yourself. And, you know, things could just go pear-shaped last minute. You know, there could be somebody else, or they could find somebody better than you, or, you know, somebody cheaper than you, or whatever. And you're waiting for this whole thing. Like in my industry, things take time, and I just wasted 2.5-3 months in end of last year, just waiting for this company to say yes, and they just came back and they said no. They didn't even give me a reason. I was so angry. I'm like, God.
You know, and I one other takeaway I think too that I noticed, at least, and that you kind of alluded to this a little bit a few minutes ago, is, you know, when you talked about, it sounds like you have a completely different perspective now on being fired than you did before. You know, it sounds to me like you're really seeing it from the perspective of flow and the energies of life, that sometimes it's just life helping you to detach from something that isn't working for you, and I like to say, doing for you what you don't have the courage to do yourself. If you're not going to walk away, we're going to make it happen for you, right? Sometimes, you know, when we don't do what we should do for ourselves, it shows up in a health crisis or the end of a relationship or a job loss. There's a lot of ways on the surface that it can manifest. And to me, that was kind of a takeaway is, you really have a new perspective on this. At first, there was the feeling, like, oh my gosh, I got fired. How could they do that to me? And now you've come full circle, like, oh my gosh, that was kind of a gift. And that is to me, that's a transformation in and of itself. That has nothing really even to do with getting a new job. I mean, that's a whole nother transformation right there, is just your shift in perspective. So I don't know what you think about that, but I just want to toss that out there. That was a takeaway I had that of something that you learned in this process, that event was actually something to help you, not something to hurt you. So,
I mean, there's a lot of other things that I had to do. There was a lot of personal growth I had to do, and I think if I didn't get fired, I wouldn't have changed my ways. First of all, I still do, but a little bit, but I always used to give myself a hard time. I'm not good enough, kind of thing, and that's how I used to operate in my last job. And project management is something where there's always a fire every day, and you take it personally that, oh my God, the fire is because of me. And I've seen that successful project managers completely detach from the project. I couldn't do that, and I was. Every time something went wrong in my last job, I made it worse. But now that I am in this new job, I can see from the other side is like, okay, this is how I need to work. It's not, if a project goes bad, it doesn't reflect on me. It's a project. Before I used to take everything personally. I used to get so involved and I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I created it. I used to create problems. So that was one big growth thing I had. If I wasn't fired, then I would have always been a project manager, which I wasn't really aligned to.
Right.
So, it gave me an opportunity to grow. That was the second thing. And I've changed as a person. As a person. I've definitely changed as a person.
Wonderful. So one more question as well that I always like to ask everyone I interview as well. What advice do you have for someone else who may be in a similar situation that you were in, maybe contemplating a major career change or trying to overcome long-term employment? What would you say to them if they asked you for advice?
I would say, reach out to Lorraine.
I didn't tell him to say that, you guys. You're sweet. Well, thank you.
What I would say is you need a structured, you need a method. There needs to be, you don't get a new job or you can't change your career by just going on and saying, oh, I love that job, and then apply for it and then forget about it. There needs to be a process. Things have to happen in a certain way. And while you're doing this job applications, there are going to be days when you just feel like, screaming and just giving up. But what you have to understand is it's a process. You have to keep, you'll have, I reached out to about 5-6 friends. Some didn't get back to me. Some were like, yeah, okay, well, and I look back and generally everybody wanted to help me, but I was then, oh my God, he's not going to, it's not working. Just because one person didn't respond on time, or if one person couldn't find you the job or couldn't help you, doesn't mean that the rest are not going to help you. Everybody out there everybody's got some good stuff going on in there, and everybody wants to help each other. So reach out to people and have a structured way of doing things. If you don't have structure, if you don't take action in a certain way, then it's not going to happen.
Wonderful. Excellent.
I still have that spreadsheet with me on my laptop. I just opened it just now, where you made me write how many applications have you made? Who are your top list? Have you heard from them?
Oh, you're welcome. Just kidding.
I love that. I love that spreadsheet. It gave me structure, I think.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. So what to everyone Yogi's referring to there is I do have kind of just a simple spreadsheet I created for that I give just to my coaching clients to help them, have some personal accountability and track. Okay, here's where I've applied. Here's who I've contacted. I mean, it also, I think it helps you to kind of see your successes and see your progress and not just be haphazard about it. So I'm so glad to hear that you like my spreadsheet.
But do you remember when we first spoke, I had 16 jobs I had saved.
Uh-huh.
But those 16 were in my head, and I had saved them on Glassdoor or on LinkedIn and everywhere. But I hadn't even applied to those 16 jobs. They were just sitting there, and there was no structure in it. Out of the 16, when we really went through it, we only applied for 4.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Out of those 16, we only applied for 4 out of those 16. I was just looking at the spreadsheet, and the rest was networking. And then you had asked me to shortlist all the companies I would like to work for, and then find out, who from my network had moved there, and
Yeah.
So,
I gave you a lot of homework.
That was also in the spreadsheet, right?
I know. I give my clients a lot of homework, but they thank me in the end. Awesome. Well, we only have a couple minutes, so we got to wrap this up. But I thank you so much, Yogesh. This has been an awesome interview, and it's been so wonderful to just catch up with you again in just 1 week into the job. And I hope that you don't have to job search ever again. But if you ever do down the road, I think that you are well prepared. I think you will approach it much differently than you did in the past. And hopefully you've learned a lot. It sounds like you have. And it was my pleasure to work with you 100%. I feel like the lucky one. So thank you for that.
I should actually thank you. You really helped me out. Yeah.
Our flow brought us together, right? And I think that's so funny that it was the 1 year anniversary of you losing your job. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and I'm going to wrap up with my listeners just in these last 2 or 3 minutes. Thank you so much for taking time out, Yogi. Congratulations on the new job, and I hope it's a job worthy of you, certainly.
Thank you very much.
All right. No problem. Okay, you guys. What a great interview that was. I just love that. I love reconnecting with clients and letting them tell their own stories, because they tell their stories better than I ever could. So we have just a couple of minutes left. And I think what I want to do is give you guys a little preview of what we're going to talk about next week. I will be back with a live show again, one more for August. And this is something certainly that I worked with Yogi on as well. And the topic is interviewing with confidence. So if you are someone who struggles maybe with how to, quote, sell yourself, because we hear that a lot, right? We got to sell ourselves to employers. Then this show will be for you. Or if job interviews make you nervous, kind of make you want to run away and hide, that is a common struggle. And this show is going to be for you. It's going to be called Interviewing with Confidence. And personally, I believe that the best interview is the authentic interview. And we actually talked about that just today. Yogesh was saying how authenticity was so important. So I'm actually going to tell you guys next week, rather than selling yourself, you just need to be yourself. You need to put the best version of yourself forward, of course, but you need to just be yourself. Okay, so this episode is going to be all about what employers are really looking for and how you can position yourself to finally land the job that you deserve. All right. And I've been wanting to do a show devoted just to interviews for some time now. And I'm finally doing it. I've got so much information to share with you guys. So I'm very, very excited about that. And I'm going to give you some great methods also for answering those pesky behavioral interview questions, right? Nobody likes those. I know I used to always hate those. So those ones where you have to give a specific example. So I will give you guys so much guidance and so much information. I'm so excited. So if you, again, want to be one of my success stories, just like Yogi and have your own career transformation, go to worksmartcounseling.com and apply for a call with me. It is possible for you. All right, that's it, guys, for episode 20. I'll be back next time with a live show, 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, go out into the world and be brave, be magnificent. I'll talk to you next time. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show was brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.